right, Cowboys rookies, mini camp. We're hitting that stretch drive. And next thing you know, I hope that there's a chance that we have training camp in Oxnard, California. We were there last year, weren't we?
Well, 2 years ago.
That's right.
2019 we were there.
Absolutely. You're right about that.
You set a fire. We were there separately.
During the press conference.
You set a fire, yeah.
Jason Garrett interrupted him. We're not joined by Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, all over the Cowboys and information. Nick, thanks for having the time to be a part of the show. If the Cowboys, with all the numbers of players they drafted, what would be more important, that one or two of them are starters this year, or that 7 or 8 of them fill the depth they need?
That's a good question. I think, can we just be greedy? I mean, can we just say both?
Sure.
Both.
Yeah, you can.
But I really like what you said there. I think 7 or 8 guys that have to, fill the depth. They're going to be there. You're going to get 53 guys on the team regardless, but you want them to be relatively cheap, but also good young talent. And so I think out of the 11 guys that they drafted, if they could get 7 or 8 of them that could be players that, you could really count on, as part of your deep team, then yeah, I think that's probably more important than 1 or 2 of them being stars. I mean, one of them's got to be a star.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons has got to be a star, and I think he will. But I think out of that, if you've got 7 rookies contributing, I bet you 2 of them are probably going to be star type of players.
Nick, you wrote a little bit about Nahshon Wright last week. Of course, he was the kind of the head scratcher pick. Not that the Cowboys picked a 6'4" corner, given the fact that Dan Quinn likes those kind of guys, but given that they picked him when they did. What have you found out about him, and how did he look like he moved this week at rookie minicamp?
Well, which day, Friday or Saturday? Because Friday he looked like the type of player that everybody was scratching their head about. He looked, he's tall and lanky and somewhat fluid, but he did look a little bit lost. But guess what? He's a rookie mini, And then the next day, he looked like the player the Cowboys jumped up to draft in the 3rd round. And now, again, who's throwing the ball? Who's he covering? All that stuff is kind of relative in rookie minicamp. But I thought Nahshon Wright looked like the type of player on that second day of minicamp that the Cowboys are hoping that they get. Very, very instinctive, very lanky, using those arms and length to his advantage. And, it's not easy for a guy like that. And that's why you don't see a lot of corners that tall. But he was able to look somewhat fluid, I thought, and looked like a guy, looked like he belonged, especially on that second day.
Well, Nick, you brought up the name a few minutes ago, Micah Parsons, the big first-round pick. What were your initial impressions about him? I know he talked about, the need for him to be at Mike linebacker and a Rambo type of player. I know that was one of the quotes going around. What were your impressions of Micah Parsons?
My impressions are let's get some pads on, let's get some all-pro blockers in front of him, because these guys aren't getting it done in front of him. Like they can't get in the way, they can't block them. And everything you saw on tape, and you got to be careful when you're looking at YouTube highlights. We know that, nobody ever puts bad plays on their huddle account, so you got to be careful of that. But nobody that I really saw block Micah Parsons in college. He's everything. I keep saying this line, but he's everything you wanted Jalen Smith to be, just by looking at the college tape. So he showed that here. He showed that this weekend. No pads, no star players in front of him, but man, he just has a way of getting around the edge. He can blitz. He can blitz from the middle. He was a step above everyone. He looked like the number 12 overall pick playing against the guys that were picked way behind him. That's what it looked like, which is what it was, which is, I think, is a good thing.
So could it be one of those things, as much as the corners were in play, with Horn and Surtain, is it good that those 2 guys went in front of him in the end? Is that the possibility?
Well, it's hard to say. It really is hard to say. They know they wanted a corner. They wanted a corner so bad that they had Parsons, and I totally believe this because I was told the day before. This isn't just Jerry Stevens talk. I was told the day before the draft that Parsons has a higher grade than any corner or any other defensive player. So when they said that after the draft, I believed it because I'd heard it before. But that goes to show how much they really wanted the corners. They really wanted. It's not like linebacker isn't a need. They really wanted the corners as well. So it's hard to say, well, this should have happened. We all know if Surtain picks off 9 passes next year, then everyone's going to be saying they should have, it's too bad they didn't get him. But I think it just fell the way it was supposed to fall, because I'll go back to your first question. You said 7 or 8 guys need to contribute. And I think all along they needed to take their 10 draft picks. And they made it 11, actually. But it was so important to get as many opportunities to fill this team's needs, which is depth. And they're not all going to hit, but if some of them stick, that's even better. So they weren't going to trade up to 8, 9 to get a corner. They were going to sit right there and take a great defensive player, because it doesn't matter where it is, it's a need. And that's pretty much what happened.
I would think that most Cowboy fans outside of Micah Parsons want to know about Jabril Cox and Kelvin Joseph. What did you think of them in their first weekend of Underwear Olympics?
Yeah, exactly. I thought Cox, he looks pretty good. He's right there with Micah Parsons on a lot of the individual drills. He looks smooth. He think I've seen safeties that are bigger. He looks like he could be that hybrid type of player. He looks a lot like, I think, what they're trying to do with Keanu O'Neal. So I think that'll be interesting to see where they line him up. He made an interception 30 yards down the field, just to get down there. We just showed the range that he's got. So that's exciting for Jabril Cox. And then Joseph, it's interesting. The receivers that are here, every one of them 6'2" and taller. Most of them 6'4", 6'5". So they're not really testing Joseph in the quickness standpoint like he's going to be tested when he goes up against the CeeDee Lamb or even Cooper, Michael Gallup, those kind of guys. So I thought Joseph held his own really nicely. Now, it's not like they were doing red zone drills either, because if they did, he might have lost some of those, with some of those big receivers that are on the other side. So a little bit early, a little premature to come up with what I liked out of Joseph, but I thought he held his own fine.
Nick, did any of the tryout quarterbacks that were brought in make any kind of impression, or is that a search that's going to continue on?
Both. They made an impression, and it's a search that will continue on. There's like a wind tunnel down there now, like with some of the buildings that they've made and all that. It's really windy. I don't know if it was just windy or it's always going to be windy. It was tough to make, throws. JT Barrett, I thought, looked better than the other guy, Brady Davis, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them are going to be around, honestly. I know that they, I know that they had looked at JT Barrett before, and he had done a workout. I think he was working out one of the Baylor receivers. Baylor basketball players. I think they had a workout with him a couple of weeks ago just to check him out. But and the quarterback was JT Barrett. But I would be surprised if the Cowboys signed Barrett or any of those guys as a fourth quarterback.
I had someone through the grapevine. You mentioned a Baylor receiver. I don't know who that would have been, but
it's the big. I don't know how to say. It's the big lumbering power forward.
Mark Vital.
No, Vital.
Yeah,
the center. I think they worked him out.
Yeah,
worked him out.
I was going to ask you when you said that, because I had gotten word maybe a week or so ago that Jerry is infatuated with him, and we know how he Rico gathers, and we understand all that. But I was asked. Someone asked me, and I didn't want to say anything until something came out for his number, that a scout wanted to talk to him.
I think they just worked him out. I don't know if there's anything to it. I think they just kind of look at, and from what I was told, that they've done that with 10 or 12 guys. Just different guys that might play different positions, different sports, or whatever. Something that they were able to do. I think he was one of them, but I don't think there's much to it. But all I'm saying is the quarterback during that workout, I believe, was J.T. Barrett. So they got a chance to look at him, and they did invite him back to the workout.
Do you feel like there's a sense of normalcy now, again, Nick, with after last year that we're getting close to normalcy? Oxnard, of course, training camp, whatever.
Yeah, I think we're getting there, or we're certainly getting a little bit of normalcy. And now, I don't know when the next time we'll have an open locker room. I think that'll be interesting to see. And the press conferences or interviews are still virtual right now, so we're getting back there. I know, like in the offices, it's starting to kind of look that way again. But it's weird because you want to say, well, by next season we will, but we're 2 months away from supposedly going to training camp. Like late July or July 19, 20 is when there's been some reported talks of going to training camp. So we're getting there. It's like it is nice to have some normalcy, but it's coming right around the corner.
No question about it. Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you very much. Great to have you on. Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com. A lot of good stuff right there. Yeah, I just kind of thought that, I don't know if that died on the vine or not, but Mark Vidal, the Baylor basketball player, at least getting an opportunity, that's got to be pretty cool. And I heard it was Jerry who was intrigued by him.
Well, look, Vidal is a really good athlete, and he's not obviously the kind of physical specimen that Rico is. Like when you looked at Rico, he looked like a tight end or defensive end. I will tell you this though about Mark Vidal, and this is a little bit of a knock on Rico, and it's just how, but it's true. Mark Vidal's work ethic is better than Rico's.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think halfway through his rookie training camp they're going to have to worry about Rico starting a rap or Mark Vidal starting a rap career.
Right.
Even though his agent is Wheezy, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Like you said, though, there's 11 or 12 other guys they did something similar with. So, had it been just a sole look at Mark Vidal, that would have been really interesting. But the fact that it's kind of, a wide scope, it's still cool. And I'm curious what Mark probably thought of that. But, I think he would be getting penalty flags left and right probably if he was out there on a football field.
They could use a little of that edge.
Maybe that would be great.
Just send him down. Send that dude down on kickoffs and punts.
Oh my God!
Crush a person.
And there is that sometimes a guy that, like a Mark Vidal type or an athlete. Even you can go to some of the dudes in the NBA, the elite players, and ask, think about whether they could play. It's a different mentality. Doesn't mean they're not athletic enough to get it done. Because I never really thought Wainwright was going to play football. He did. Enrico Gathers, at least he signed a contract.
He played for like 3 years, even though he didn't play. He was on the Cowboys roster for like 3 years doing nothing.
Rico would have his moments when he was playing against other as third stringers go.
Yeah.
He was a really good third stringer, but
the
that's
hype
not why
got to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it did, and the thing about it too is like you can be a great athlete, but there are so many small things that football players do, just like in basketball or any other sport, that this is the mastery of it. You got to be Antonio Gates. You got to be Tony Gonzalez. And I know some of those guys played football previously, but you got to be special, man, to be able to make that type of a move. But that's definitely of interest, though.
No question. Again, we have a couple of things to get to here in the next segment. Mark Carnevale on the PGA Championship a little after 5:10, and Casey Keeler in the national championship. Sam Houston, the Bearcats, forever will be etched into immortality, winning the FCS championship.
Do we have to go here? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a break.
All right, well, I'll save the question for later then.
What
about spring football and, the D2 schools, the FCS schools doing spring football year-round? I know there's complications like the scheduling, but the idea is that, the people kind of after yesterday going like, this is kind of nice to have spring football for the lower schools. So I just was curious y'all's thoughts on that.
We could ask him. I know when we had him on really early in the year before they started playing, remember, he's talking about